after the live starts. Yeah.
You'll put it on the screen?
Yes, I will.
Okay, cool.
I'm just setting up the live. Okay. We are live. And
Die.
now uh, we'll share the screen. Okay.
There it is. Awesome, thank you. So we'll just dive into this then. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudirayat.
Tato Jayam Udirayat.
That verse that I just recited is, I think, Bhagavatam 1, 2, 4. Talks about how before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to first offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto should be some
Somehow there's a problem with the connection. Is your Wi-Fi bad or is it ours? Uh-oh. Shoot. Um, oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. We just try restarting the
Hare
thing.
Krishna. Can you hear
Oh,
me all right?
yes, yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Well, let's
Okay.
see how this goes.
Okay, you
All
can
right,
just read the verse again.
read the
Sorry.
verse. Okay, so I'll do the translation. O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Pure devotees of the Lord are more powerful than the waters of the sacred woman or merchant, pure devotees. Pure devotees
Maybe Prabhupada Priya, if we turn our videos off, it will use less
Okay,
bandwidth.
sure.
All right.
The pure devotees whose only business is serving are honored by the names Prabhupada and Vishnupad, which indicate such devotees to be representatives of the lotus feet of the Lord. Anyone, therefore, who takes shelter of the lotus of a pure devotee by accepting the pure devotee as his spiritual master can at once be purified. Such devotees of the Lord are honored equally with the Lord because they are engaged in the most confidential service of the Lord, for they deliver out of the material world the fallen souls whom the Lord wants to return home back to Godhead. Such pure devotees are better known as vice lords, according to revealed scriptures. The sincere disciple of the pure devotee considers the spiritual master equal to the Lord, but always considers himself to be a humble servant of the Lord. This is the pure devotional path. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramalithangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shri Mati Rita Nandadasko Swami Chinamane Namaste Guram Saya Paramananda Meda Se Prabhupada Brahmanaya Siddhantanasane. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shri Mati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Chinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachardani Nir Vishishashun Nirvani Pashidare Shatani Vanchakalpatibhischa Kripa Sindhiveva Chapatitanam Bhavani Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai. So there's some very nice points here from this purport. One is that Krishna wants us to go back home, back to Godhead. And so he's very happy with those devotees who are engaged in the work of bringing the fallen conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. And he empowers them with the ability to do so. So therefore, the spiritual master, devotees who are guiding the souls back to Godhead, are considered to be as worshipable as the Lord, because they're doing the work of the Lord on behalf of the Lord with the full empowerment of the Lord. So this is a very special situation for a human to be put in, is to be in that empowered state of existence. And so we need to take shelter of such people. There's a nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 2:4-18. It's a very famous verse that you might have heard of. It talks about the power of taking shelter of devotees. So it goes, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abira Shumba Yavana Kasadaya Yen Ye Chapapa Yadapashraya Shraya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. So this verse starts off by listing all the names of different people who are a little bit separated from the Vedic culture, right? People who different tribal people and Aboriginal people, and there's the Greeks and the Germans and the Russians and the Turks and the Mongolians and like that, who don't have such a easy access to Vedic culture and the spiritual path. And because of that, have become degraded or degraded. This groups can be delivered. And how? By apashraya, ashraya. So ashraya means shelter. So apashraya means taking shelter of ashraya, of those who have taken shelter. So this is what we need to do. We need to take shelter of those who have taken shelter of Prabhavishnave, of the Supreme Lord. Prabhavishnu is the name of the Lord Vishnu or Krishna. So we just need to find someone who has taken full shelter of Krishna, dedicated body, mind, and words to Krishna, has no other goal except Krishna, and take shelter of that person. And then it doesn't matter who we are, where we're from, what we've done in the past, what our current mentality is. We just take shelter of such a person, such a pure, dedicated devotee of the Lord. Then we're going to be purified and we're going to be delivered. So Yeah, this is really the secret of success. So in purport in the Bhagavad Gita, where Srila Prabhupada says that the secret of success in spiritual life is to faithfully follow the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. And of course, Prabhupada is talking a lot about the spiritual master, but anyone. I mean, there's Diksha Guru and there's also Shiksha Gurus. And then there's also just peers and mentors and any devotee who is a good devotee, who's really taken shelter of Krishna. And that person is very powerful association. And we know that, like they say, just tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. So we become like the people that we associate with. So just by being with devotees, the spark of spiritual life starts to rise up. Yeah, sometimes this example is given that um, wood, that fire is contained within wood. It says that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that fire is contained within wood. So wood has the potential to burn, but unless that piece of wood contacts fire from another source, it's just going to remain dull wood. But as soon as you touch fire to the wood, then the fire comes out of the wood. So in the same way, love of God is dormant within all of us. But still, it takes someone else who has love of God to contact us somehow or other, right? Either through direct association, through merciful glances, through thoughts, through words, through blessings, through engagement in service. Somehow we need to contact that person who um, has the fire of divine consciousness. And then poof, our own fire sparks and rises up. Our own love, our own feeling of devotion, which is innate, which is inherent in everyone, becomes manifest. And Lord Chaitanya talks about how this doesn't take long, right? Just as soon as you put the match to the wood, it ignites. So Lord Chaitanya says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre, Hoy, Kaya Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. He says that, Sarva Shastre, that all the Shastras agree on this one thing, that Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. He says it 3 times just to emphasize so we know what we're talking about. We're not, making any mistakes here. That just a lava matra, just a fraction of a second. Prabhupada says this lava is a measurement of time, which is 1/11th of a second. That's how long it takes. Just 1/11th of a second with a pure devotee can give sarva siddhi, all perfection. So we can just see how powerful a pure devotee's association is. So then we might wonder, why is it that Krishna designed the system this way? Him directly, we have to take shelter of one who has taken shelter of him. We can't just take shelter of him. And that is, well, there are a few reasons, but one is to show how dear to him his devotees are. So Krishna is never alone. Whenever you see a picture of Krishna, he's never alone. There's always some devotee there, depending on which pastime is being displayed, which rasa is being emphasized. Or sometimes there may not be a human associate there, but there's always some cow, a peacock, you know, someone is there with him, some devotee is there. And actually, Krishna depends on his devotees for his enjoyment. How could he have his pastimes if he didn't have his devotees? How would we be able to, how would he be able to express his qualities without interacting with his devotees? So, in order to even know Krishna, in order for Krishna to even be himself, to even, fulfill his own desires and express his own personality, he needs his devotees. And he dearly loves his devotees. And he's happy when we love them too. So much so that it's practically a prerequisite for loving him is that we need to love his devotees. And, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because if someone claims to love me, but then they neglect me, they neglect or they mistreat my friends and family, then what kind of love is that for me, right? They're actually just kind of disturbing me. Like they're hurting me by hurting those who are dear to me. But on the other hand, if they respect my friends and family, if they care about them, if they assist them with their needs by doing, selfless service, then obviously I'm going to be very favorable to them. I'm going to be indebted to them, and I'll try to do whatever I can to help them. So Krishna is like that. When we serve his devotees, when we care about his devotees, when we love his devotees, then he actually becomes indebted to us. He's like, wow, this. I protect my devotees. I care for my devotees. I assist my devotees. That's my job. But this person is doing it on my behalf. I'm indebted to them. They're doing my work for me. So this is really the quickest way to get Krishna's favor. And another reason why it's important to approach Krishna's devotees is that they say that the devotee is more merciful than Krishna. So whereas Krishna sometimes, can be a little heavy, but devotees are very, very compassionate, and devotees will always accept a person who sincerely approaches them, whereas Krishna may keep a distance for some time. And the devotees have that power to give us Krishna consciousness, to give us Krishna, precisely because devotees are so dear to Krishna and Krishna is so indebted to them. Then he comes under their control, right? That's one of Krishna's qualities, his 64 transcendental qualities, is that he's controlled by the love of his devotees. So if someone worships him very sincerely, then Krishna says that he becomes purchased. He becomes purchased by the love of his devotees. That means he becomes the property of his devotees. So if if something is your property, that means you can do whatever you want with it. You can keep it, you can give it away, you can sell it, you're going to do whatever you want with it, right? So if Krishna becomes the property of a devotee, that means that the devotee now has the power to give that to us. So that's exactly what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his song, O Hey Vaishnava Thakur, towards in the last stanza, I think he says, Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakatiyache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna Bole, Daitava Pache Pache. So Krishna se tomar means Krishna is yours. And then Krishna dite paro means therefore you can give Krishna to others. In other words, you can give Krishna to me. Krishna is yours, you can give him to me. Such is your power. Tomara Shakati Ache. That's your Shakti. Tomara Shakati Ache. Therefore, Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna Boli. I'm just running after you, crying and calling out, Krishna, Krishna, please give me Krishna. So it's a very emotional end of that song. And Krishna talks, Lord Chaitanya also talks about this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that we're wandering, right? So many lifetimes we've been in this material world, and we've just been wandering through this world aimlessly, not knowing the purpose of life, not knowing who we are, what we're meant to be doing. And so sometimes we do good things and we get good karma and we go to higher planets, and sometimes we'll do bad things and get bad karma and go to lower planets. And just round and round, lifetime after lifetime, we've been wandering through the entire universe. Brahmanda Brahmite. But then he says, Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. But if a soul becomes Bhagyavan, this is not Bhagavan, Bhagavan means, this is another word. Bhagyavan means fortunate. If a soul becomes very fortunate, then Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. That by the mercy of Guru, of the spiritual master, and Krishna, one gets the seed of the creeper of devotional service. So they say that by the mercy of Krishna, one gets a guru, and by the mercy of the guru, one gets Krishna. So like this, yeah, it's similar to the analogy that I gave about the fire. That fire is in wood, but it takes, a match or another burning log to ignite the fire out of wood. So in the same way, bhakti is in the heart, but we need the association of the devotee too. So when we say that the spiritual master plants the seed of bhakti, it's not that bhakti wasn't there, but their bhakti touches our bhakti and awakens it. Right? It's sleeping. Prabhupada says it's dormant. So yeah. At the same time, it can be a double-edged sword, association with devotees, especially association with pure devotees, because if we offend them, then we're in big trouble, right? We get the seed of the creeper of devotion. We're watering it by our hearing and chanting and our service. And then if we offend a pure devotee, then it's like a mad elephant comes into the garden and stomps on our creeper and smashes it. So offenses to devotees is very devastating. It's one of the most dangerous things. So then somebody might think, well, okay, it's too dangerous to be with devotees because I might offend them because, I have this offensive mentality and I tend to, say things and, whatever. So you might think better I just keep a distance from the devotees and play it safe because if I'm not with them, I won't offend them. But that's not the solution. Because if you ask the question, how to prevent Vaishnava aparad, the answer is by associating with devotees, right? Lord Chaitanya says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that uh, because there's this danger of mad elephant offense, we need to build a little fence around our bhakti lata, around our devotional creeper, to keep the elephant out. And so, what is that fence that protects us from offense? It's the association of advanced devotees. Why? Because when we associate with advanced devotees, then we get their mood. Right? If we associate with non-devotees, then we're going to make offenses. If we associate even with, very new devotees, we might make offenses because, um, yeah, not so advanced devotees tend to um, have a fault-finding nature and they want everyone to be perfect. And when they're not perfect, then they get very disturbed and, kind of thing. But advanced devotees have this wonderful quality of being able to overlook the faults, right? And to focus on the good qualities and to fan the spark of the good qualities and literally not even see the bad qualities because they're so connected with Krishna. They're so connected with Krishna's mercy and Krishna's love and Krishna's compassion that it's just like a mother's love for the child. They can't, in the mother's eyes, the child can do no wrong. you know Like, even if people complain about their child, they're just like, that's not a big deal, right? They think even if the child is ugly, they'll be beautiful in the eyes of the mother. So like that. Or if you're in love with somebody, right? If you're in this stage of infatuation in the relationship, the person can say or do no wrong. You just become blind to any faults that they have and you overlook it and they're just like the wonderful person in the world. So that's the way Krishna sees us, and that's the way the pure devotee sees others, is that devotees are just the most wonderful people in the world. And they overlook all the faults and they just appreciate the good qualities and they're very grateful for whatever service they do. So when we associate with devotees like that, then we get that quality. We start to see like that. We start to appreciate devotees more. And that protects us from making offenses. So, yeah. And another thing is that as we're watering the bhakti lata, the devotional creeper, there are weeds that can come up around it. And those weeds um, can choke out the creeper that we're trying to cultivate. So what are the weeds? They're things like um, uh, just material desires that come up, um, fault finding, duplicity, trying to get a position within the spiritual institution, trying to get fame, name and fame and adoration for oneself, and trying to um, enjoy the material benefits that may come as byproducts of devotional service. So these are some of the weeds that can come up. And how are we going to identify those weeds? Sometimes we can't even see these things developing in us, but the devotees can identify them. So if we're with a senior devotee that we trust, that we take as a mentor or a Diksha Shiksha Guru, then they can point it out like, hey, you're getting a little carried away with yourself. Yeah, you're getting like, why are you doing this? It looks like you're just trying to, become get name and fame for yourself. So they can point these things out and they can also pull them out. They can also help to remove those weeds. So devotee association is really so necessary. And in contrast to that, Lord Chaitanya says, no, in Prabhupada's purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19:157, Prabhupada writes, when one associates with non-devotees, the maddened elephant is set loose. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya said, Asat Sanga Tyag, E Vaishnava Achar. That somebody asked him, what is the main characteristic of a devotee, of a real Vaishnava? So he says, yeah, Vaishnava Achar. Achar means behavior. What is Vaishnava behavior? And he says that Lord Chaitanya answers, the main principle of Vaishnava behavior is Asat Sanga Tyag. Tyag means giving up. Giving up what? Asat Sanga. Giving up the association of non-devotees and accepting satsanga, association with devotees. So, and Prabhupada says that this whole Krishna consciousness movement was started for this purpose, right? The reason that he opened up so many centers and ashrams and Krishna houses, right? Like you're starting a new Krishna house there. So what's the reason for starting a Krishna house? What's the reason of having a place, where you can live together, where people can come, is so that you can cultivate sadhu sanghas, you can have association with devotees, and you can get together and chant and hear and serve and try to extend that to as many people as possible. So this is very, very important. This is so crucial. So this Krishna's mercy, that you have this place, and you three are very intelligent to have taken the opportunity to create the situation for yourselves where you're living with devotees. It's just so powerful. And to, try to reach out to senior devotees in the community or wherever in the world, having online classes, inviting devotees for programs at your place, and to just try to associate with senior devotees and pure devotees as much as possible, because even 1/11th of a second is so powerful. And yet, it's interesting because we see that there are some people, devotees that live in the association of other devotees, and sometimes the consciousness stays materialistic. So, does that mean that it doesn't work? Conscious effort. We need to be very conscientious about how we associate with devotees, right? Just like you may have a nice car, but if you just sit in your car, you're not going to go anywhere. Car, you have to put your foot on the gas pedal. You have in physical space with devotees. We may not be spiritually going anywhere, but we have to actually engage with those devotees. We have to make an effort to hear from them, to inquire submissively from them, to serve them, to serve with them, and get the maximum benefit from their association. So that's our part, it's our responsibility to try to keep our discussions focused on Krishna consciousness. And doesn't mean that we need to be fanatical and we can't talk about the weather or, ask the person how they slept last night or whatever, and talk about something. But example is given that these topics that are not Krishna Katha are not related to service. They can be compared to like exits on the highway. So when you're on a road trip, the main thing is you're on the highway, right? It's when you're on the highway that you're going somewhere. But then sometimes you may need to take an exit and get off and, use the restrooms, put gas in the car, get some snacks or whatever, right? Stretch your legs. So the highway is Krishna Katha, is that we're hearing and chanting together, We're doing our best to spread Krishna consciousness, pushing forward the mission, serving together. That's the highway. But then sometimes there will be times where we get off the highway and we just kind of kick back and hang out and relax, kind of decompress or shoot the breeze or whatever, have fun with the devotees. And we may talk about things that are not necessarily very Krishna conscious, but hopefully they're not, terribly degrading. But that's like taking an exit off the highway. But we always have to remember that if we don't get back on the highway, we're not going to make progress, right? We need to get back on the highway. Just use that as a break, right? Sometimes if we're not pure devotees who can just speak Krishna Katha all the time, then sometimes we need a little break. But we have to remember that, use the restroom, get gas, grab some snacks, get back in the car and get back on the highway as soon as you can, because we have a goal, we have a destination that we're trying to get to. And yeah, there's some examples of this in Shastra of devotees who were in the association of pure devotees. I mean, people who were in the association of pure devotees and hearing from them and not getting the benefit. So one example is Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is, the grandfather who, Duryodhana's father. So that Vidura was a pure devotee, and Vidura was always trying to preach to Dhritarashtra, but Dhritarashtra just couldn't, he would actually listen to him and he would say, yes, everything that you're saying is right, but I just can't follow it. Sorry, I'm just too attached to my sons and I'm going to do what I'm going to do despite your wise words. So he just wasn't in a space to listen. But then afterwards, after all of his sons were killed in the Battle of Kurukshetra, then he became a little more humble. And also he was elderly, he was approaching the time of death. So then when Vidura came back later and preached to him, then he was like, okay, you're right, I need to do this. And then he left home and he actually was liberated. And then another example, yeah, so in the first part, he just wasn't into it. He wasn't interested. But then later he was actually interested and he would agreed to act on the instructions. Another example is Prahlad Maharaj and his mother. So when Hiranyakashipu was off performing austerities, then the demigods came to try to attack Prahlad Maharaj while he was in the womb of his mother. They wanted to wait till he was born and kill him. But Narada Muni said, no, you got it all wrong. He's not a little demon. He's actually a Mahabhagava. He's a great devotee. And let me take this woman. I'll protect her until he's born. So Kayadu, the name of Prahlad Maharaj's mother, while she was in the ashram of Narada Muni, Narada Muni was speaking Krishna Katha the whole time. He was like reciting Srimad Bhagavatam every day. So the mother was hearing it, and the child within the womb was also hearing it. But because the mother was so distracted, because she was in total anxiety, that here I am like homeless, I'm staying in the ashram of this stranger. My husband, God knows where he is, if he's even alive, if he's coming back, and I'm going to give birth any moment. What's going to happen to my son? She was like in a lot of anxiety. So she couldn't focus she just couldn't hear what he was saying. But Prahlad, he was very peaceful, he was just there in the womb and he was taking it all in. He was hearing every word. And yeah, he was, he was already a great devotee and he was just getting more and more great as he was benefiting from the association. So this is something to remember, that to get the benefit, we have to really voluntarily make the effort, just submit our false ego at the lotus feet of the devotee and follow the devotee's instruction. And yeah, Krishna says that Sadhavo Hridayam Mayam, my devotees are in my heart. Sadhunam Hridayam Taham, I'm in the hearts of my devotees. Mad Anyat Te Na Jananti, they don't know anything but me. And Naham Tebya Manag Api, I don't know anything but them. A very famous verse. So yeah, the more we make the effort, take shelter of those who have taken shelter of Krishna, then the more we're going to advance, and Krishna's desire for us to go back to Godhead will be fulfilled. Jai. So, yeah, I'll just open it up now if you have any comments or questions.
All right. It's Vrindavan Natabar. So I'm wondering, like, so much of the instruction that is provided in Srimad Bhagavatam and across the Shastra is like through the lens of other yugas.
Hmm.
Like, so, most of the Bhagavatam does not take place in Kali Yuga. And, even a great deal of it is not even in the previous age. It's like more like Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, so many different, like Lord Ram and like you mentioned, Narsimadev, Prahlad Maharaj
Yeah.
pastimes and so on. So, what is the like, I mean, why take instruction through this medium rather than hearing about hearing about great contemporary devotees that have life experiences like the six Goswamis or something, not quite contemporary, but in Kali Yuga that whose life experiences are more relatable.
Yeah. Probably do that too. I mean, we hear about the acharyas and we hear from the acharyas. And if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, then there's so much about the six Goswamis and different devotees of Lord Chaitanya. And that all happened during Kali Yuga, not too long ago. But the thing is that Lord Chaitanya, who is the Yuga avatar for Kali Yuga, directed us to study Srimad Bhagavatam, and he very highly extolled the Srimad Bhagavatam. And our acharyas also, right? Like, why did our acharyas write so many commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam? Prabhupada spent sleepless nights writing commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam so that we can access this great literature. And in the Bhagavatam itself, it says that, and there's a verse that says, Krishne swadamo pagate dharma jnana dibisa kalo nashtajusham esha puranarko dunoditaha. That this Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just to dissipate the darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali. And that those who have lost their vision due to the darkness of this age will get light from this Bhagavat Purana. So, yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam is the book for this age of Kali, and that's why, even though many of the pastimes, most of the pastimes take place in bygone ages, but see, Srila Vyasadeva knew that Kali Yuga was coming. And so he selected pastimes that would be particularly relevant and instructive for us Kali Yuga specimens.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of benefit to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. But we can also, I mean, uh, Chaitanya Charitamrita came later, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that um, if all the books in the world would be destroyed, but only Chaitanya Charitamrita would remain, then you're going to be fine. In fact, he said that if, so most devotees at home, they'll have a set of CCs, they'll have a set of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they'll have Bhagavad Gita. It may have other books too, but those are like the essential, like the, bread and butter of, the books that you're going to have. So, uh, or should I say like the rice and dal? And then the other books are like, Sabji, Pakora, Chutney, whatever. But your rice and dal are Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he said, if there's some emergency and you have to evacuate your home and, in a crisis, and you can only take certain books with you, then, take these three. But if the situation gets difficult and you can't carry them, and you need to unload, then first you can drop the Bhagavad Gita. And as you're going on, if your burden becomes too heavy and you can't carry the rest, then you can let go of Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, but never let go of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mhm.
Hmm.
And the amazing thing about Chaitanya Charitamrita is that, uh, Krishna's Kaviraj, he's quoting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's also quoting Bhagavad Gita. And even if he doesn't, Krishna's Kaviraj is bringing in other references from other literatures. So, including Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So, basically, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you get everything. You get the essence of all the other scriptures, and with an emphasis on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, his mission, and chanting the holy names, which is the Yuga Dharma. So that's very good. But because Lord Chaitanya recommended that we read Srimad Bhagavatam, so in order to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our acharyas, then we read Srimad Bhagavatam. But we also read Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Thank you.
Anything else?
We're looking forward to hosting you.
That's
Yeah,
JC.
thanks, JC. Yeah, we're looking forward to coming. Yeah, really looking forward to this trip.
We're just doing some advertising and also finding people to cook and